Here's why you play Benedetta, the Shadow Ranger in the EXP Lane. First off, she has outstanding mobility, allowing her to dash in and out of fights with ease while making her extremely hard to pin down. She also offers high burst damage, which can quickly eliminate squishy targets when well timed. On top of that, she has excellent survivability thanks to her ability to block damage and crowd control effects, letting her turn fights in her favor. However, Benedetta's playstyle has a high skill requirement as a kit demands precise timing and positioning. She also has low sustained damage compared to other fighters, making her less effective in prolonged fights. Lastly, she is vulnerable to mobility counters, especially against heroes who can restrict her movement. Benedetta's passive, Elapsed Daytime, allows her to charge Sword and 10 when holding down the basic attack button, entering the Sword Out state. Once fully charged, she can unleash Sword Out Slash, dashing forward and dealing physical damage to all enemies in her path. She also can build Sword and 10 by damaging enemies with her basic attacks and skills, and this passive gives her a constant mobility tool and lets her poke or engage without relying solely on her active skills. Benedetta's first skill, Phantom Slash, swiftly moves back, leaving a shadow in front that slashes after a short delay, dealing damage and slowing enemies in a fan-shaped area. She then dashes forward to slash again, dealing extra damage if the enemy was hit by the shadow. The skill is great for both poking from range and bursting enemies up close. Benedetta's second skill, An Eye for an Eye, raises her weapon to block incoming damage and grants control immunity for a short time. After defending, she steps in the targeted direction, dealing damage. If she blocks any damage, she gains full Sword and 10. If she blocks the control effect, her step will also stun the enemy. This is her main defensive and counterplay tool, letting her nullify key enemy skills. Benedetta's ultimate, Electo Final Blow, slashes forward while becoming targetable, then slashes to release Sword and 10 along her path. Enemies caught inside take continuous damage and are slowed for a short duration. This is her main teamfight and engage tool, allowing her to slice through multiple enemies while disrupting their formations. A typical 2 combo for Benedetta is to start with the passive to close the gap, then cast the ultimate where enemies are grouped up. Follow with the first skill for extra burst damage and use your second skill to block incoming crowd control or high damage abilities. Moving on to builds, I usually build Sea Halberd, Blade of the Heptaseas, Tough Boots, Hunter Strike, Malefic Roar, and finally Blade of Despair. These are the emblems that go along with this build. As for battle spells, Execute is the best option, allowing you to finish off low HP enemies after your burst combo. However, another good alternative is of course going to be Petrify, as it allows you to combo with your ultimate to stun enemies to inflict higher amounts of burst damage. Benedetta counters predictable crowd control dealers, making her strong counter against heroes like Jawhead and Guinevere who rely on telegraphed engages. However, she struggles against heroes who can shut down her mobility like Mincetar and Phoveus, since all her skills rely on dashing. Benedetta excels when paired with strong initiators such as Johnson and Katokacha, who can group enemies together for her ultimate. She start with the first skill at level 1, then prioritize upgrading the first skill for better damage and poke. Level up the second skill when available for defensive plays, and most importantly upgrade the ultimate whenever available. Benedetta thrives on timing and mobility to avoid spamming her dashes without purpose. Use her passive frequently to reposition, poke, or escape dangerous situations. Mastering her passive is key, as predicting enemy skills and blocking them can completely shift the fight in your favor. In team fights, look for opportunities to hit multiple enemies with your ultimate, but don't overcommit if your skills are on cooldown. When laning, use your Phantom Slash to trade effectively, hitting enemies with both the Shadow and your follow-up Slash for maximum damage. Lastly, keep your Sword and 10 charged when roaming so you're always ready to engage or disengage instantly.